"Pack your things and get out," Gloria said, standing in our doorway with her arms crossed. "I want you gone by tonight." I looked up from my laptop where I'd been reviewing quarterly reports for our construction company, Grofix and Associates. After 15 years of marriage and building this business from nothing, those 8 words hit like a sledgehammer to the chest. "What are you talking about?" I asked, though deep down I'd seen this coming for months. Gloria's expression was cold, calculated. "I've filed for divorce, Michael. My lawyer says I have grounds for full business ownership since you've been so focused on work that you've neglected our marriage." I stared at her, this woman I'd loved since college. We started Grofix and Associates together in our garage 12 years ago. Now it was worth $8.2 million, employed 43 people, and had contracts across 3 states. "Gloria, we can work this out. We always have." She shook her head. "I'm done working things out. Kevin agrees that I deserve better." Kevin. Her personal trainer who'd been coming to our house for sessions while I was at job sites. I'd suspected something but never confronted her. "Kevin thinks I should have controlling interest in the company," she continued. "After all, I handle all the accounting and client relations." That night, I packed a bag and drove to a motel across town, my mind racing with 15 years of memories turning to dust. The next morning, I sat in the motel room staring at divorce papers that had been served at 6 a.m. Gloria was seeking full ownership of Grofix and Associates, claiming I was an absent partner who contributed little to daily operations. She was also demanding our house, both cars, and half my personal assets. The papers painted me as a workaholic who'd abandoned his marital duties while she single-handedly managed our successful business. I laughed bitterly at that last part. Gloria did handle accounting and some client calls, but she had no idea how the actual construction side worked. She didn't know about the network of subcontractors I'd built over years, the safety protocols I'd implemented, or the specialized equipment leases that kept us competitive. My phone buzzed with a text from Milton, my foreman. "Boss, Gloria showed up at the Custerman site this morning with some guy. Said she's taking over operations. The crew is confused." I closed my eyes and rubbed my temples. She was moving fast, probably hoping to present the court with evidence that she was already running things successfully. What Gloria didn't know was that 3 months ago, I'd started suspecting something was wrong. Not just with our marriage, but with our business finances. Small discrepancies that I'd been quietly investigating. I opened my laptop and logged into the secure partition I'd created on our company server. Time to see exactly what my soon-to-be ex-wife had been doing with our money. The financial records told a disturbing story. For the past 18 months, Gloria had been systematically diverting funds from Grofix and Associates into a separate account I'd never seen before. Small amounts at first. A few hundred here and there, listed as administrative expenses or client entertainment. But they'd grown larger over time. Last month alone, she'd transferred $12,000 to this mystery account. I dug deeper, cross-referencing dates with our project timelines. The pattern was clear: whenever we completed a major job and received payment, Gloria would skim a percentage before it hit our main operating account. The total was staggering. Over 18 months, she'd diverted nearly $180,000 from our company funds. But where was the money going? I traced the account number through our banking records. It led to Fitness Solutions LLC, a company registered just 2 years ago. A quick business search revealed the owner, Kevin Martinez. Her personal trainer. My hands trembled as I realized the scope of what was happening. This wasn't just an affair. Gloria and Kevin had been planning this for months, maybe years. They'd been building a separate business using money stolen from Grofix and Associates. I printed everything, made digital copies, and stored them in 3 different secure locations. Gloria thought she was playing chess, but she'd been playing checkers. My phone rang. It was Tom Anderson, our biggest client and a friend from college. "Michael, I just got off the phone with Gloria. She's telling me you're stepping back and she's taking over? What's going on?" "Tom, it's complicated," I said. "But I need you to know that any major decisions should wait until things get sorted out legally. She mentioned something about you having personal problems. Said it might affect the quality of our projects." I felt anger rising in my chest. Gloria was already poisoning our client relationships, trying to make me look unstable. "The Peterson project is on schedule and under budget," I said calmly. "Our crew knows their jobs. But Tom, as a friend, I'm asking you not to sign any new contracts or amendments until this gets resolved." After hanging up, I drove to our main office. It was Saturday, so the building should be empty. But Gloria's car was in the parking lot, along with a red BMW I recognized as Kevin's. I used my key to enter through the back entrance. Voices carried from Gloria's office, animated conversation about transition plans and taking control of operations. I slipped into my office and quietly accessed our computer system. Time to see exactly what they were planning. Our shared calendar showed Gloria had scheduled meetings with 3 major clients for Monday morning. She'd also set up a conference call with our bank to discuss operational changes and new management structure. She was moving fast, trying to establish herself as the legitimate owner before I could respond. But she'd made one critical mistake. In her haste to take control, she'd forgotten that I'd designed all our security systems. Every email, every file access, every login was tracked and logged. And those logs were about to become very interesting evidence. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. I sat in my truck across the street from Grofix and Associates, watching Gloria arrive with Kevin. She looked confident, wearing a new business suit I'd never seen before. At 8:30 a.m., she unlocked the front door and hung a handwritten sign, "Under new management Gloria Grofix, owner/operator." My phone buzzed with messages from confused employees asking what was happening. I texted back, "Working on it. Report to work as normal." By 9 a.m., our parking lot filled with the usual Monday crowd, office staff, project managers, and some of our crew leaders picking up supplies. I watched Gloria greet them at the door, playing the role of the new boss. At 9:15, I walked into the building. "Michael," Gloria said sharply from behind the reception desk. "You can't be here. This is a workplace, not a place for personal drama." Several employees looked uncomfortable. These people had worked with me for years. They knew who actually ran the operations. "I'm here to collect some files from my office," I said calmly. "Your office?" Gloria stood up. "This is my company now. You can coordinate with my lawyer for any personal items." Kevin stepped out from Gloria's office, crossing his arms like he was providing security. The guy was built like a bodybuilder but had the business sense of a brick. "Ma'am," said Justin, our senior foreman, "what about the Custerman project? We need the engineering specs that Mr. Grofix keeps in his office." Gloria looked flustered for a moment. I'll get those to you later." Justin glanced at me, then back at Gloria. "The concrete pour is scheduled for Wednesday. We need those specs today, or we'll miss our deadline." I could see the panic starting to creep into Gloria's eyes. She knew how to send invoices and answer phones, but she had no idea how to manage active construction projects. "Gloria," I said quietly, "we need to talk privately." She looked around the room at our employees, all watching this uncomfortable scene unfold. "Fine. 5 minutes." We walked into the conference room. Kevin started to follow, but I held up a hand. "This is between Gloria and me." Once the door closed, I laid a folder on the table. "Before you say anything, you should look at this." She opened it and her face went white. Inside were printouts of all the financial transfers, bank records showing the Fitness Solutions account, and business registration documents for Kevin's company. I know about the $180,000, I said softly. I know about the plan to steal our client base. I know about everything. Gloria's hands shook as she flipped through the pages. This isn't what it looks like. It looks like embezzlement. Grand theft. Fraud. I sat down across from her. It looks like a felony, Gloria. She set the papers down and tried to regain her composure. You can't prove anything. Kevin's business is legitimate. Funded entirely with money stolen from our company. Money that our employees earned. Money that belongs to our contractors and suppliers. I leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to call your lawyer and tell them you're withdrawing the divorce petition and the business ownership claim. You're going to return every penny you stole. And you're going to quietly disappear from Grofix and Associates. Gloria's eyes blazed. Or what? Or I call the FBI Financial Crimes Unit. They're very interested in cases involving business fraud and stolen funds. The conference room fell silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. Gloria stared at me for a long moment, then started laughing. You think you can scare me with threats? I've been planning this for 2 years, Michael. I have documentation showing that you've been mentally unstable, neglecting the business, making poor decisions. She stood up and walked to the window. Kevin has been helping me organize everything. We have statements from employees about your erratic behavior. We have proof that I've been doing all the real work while you've been playing with your tools. I remained calm. What statements from employees? Jessica in accounting said you've been paranoid lately, asking weird questions about our finances. Milton mentioned that you've been distracted on job sites. Even Tom Anderson noticed you seemed stressed during your last meeting. My heart sank a little. She'd been building a case against me, gathering ammunition to paint me as an unstable business partner. And, Gloria continued, I've already spoken with our 3 biggest clients. They're comfortable with me taking over operations. In fact, they prefer dealing with me because I understand their administrative needs better than you do. She turned back to me with a triumphant smile. So your little evidence folder? It won't matter. By the time any investigation starts, I'll be the established owner of a successful business, and you'll be the disgruntled ex-husband making wild accusations. Kevin knocked on the conference room door. Everything okay in there? Perfect, Gloria called out. Michael was just leaving. I gathered the papers and stood up. Gloria, you're making a mistake. No, she said firmly. I'm finally taking control of my life. As I walked toward the door, I paused. Just curious, when's your victory celebration? She looked puzzled. What? You've been planning this for 2 years. Stolen nearly $200,000. Convinced our clients to support you. Don't you want to celebrate? Gloria's expression shifted to suspicion. Why do you care? Because I know you, Gloria. You've always loved being the center of attention. This is your moment of triumph. You should enjoy it. She studied my face, trying to read my intentions. Kevin suggested we have a small gathering this Friday. Just close friends and some business associates. Sounds perfect, I said. You deserve to celebrate your success. After I left the office, I sat in my truck and made a phone call to Agent Lillian Barnes at the FBI's White-Collar Crime Division. We'd worked together 3 years ago when one of our subcontractors was involved in a tax fraud scheme. Agent Barnes, this is Michael Grofix from Grofix and Associates. I need to report a case of business embezzlement and fraud. How much are we talking about, Michael? $180,000 stolen over 18 months, with plans to steal an entire $8.2 million company through fraudulent divorce proceedings. That's definitely in our jurisdiction. Can you come in this afternoon? After hanging up, I called my lawyer, Ernest Crawford. Ernest, I need you to file an emergency motion to freeze all assets of Grofix and Associates pending a fraud investigation. Michael, that's a serious step. Are you sure? I'm about to hand the FBI enough evidence to put Gloria and her boyfriend in federal prison. I want our company assets protected before they try to liquidate everything. That afternoon, I spent 3 hours with Agent Barnes, providing copies of all financial records, bank statements, and communication logs I'd gathered. She was particularly interested in the timeline of Gloria's actions. This shows clear premeditation, she said, reviewing the documents. The pattern of theft escalating over time, the establishment of the shell company, the coordination with the divorce filing. This is organized fraud. By Tuesday morning, word had spread through our industry network that Grofix and Associates was in chaos. Competitors were already calling our clients, trying to poach contracts. I spent the day visiting job sites, reassuring our crews that their jobs were secure and work would continue normally. Most of our guys had been with us for years. They trusted me more than they trusted office politics. "Boss," said Justin at the Custerman site, "what's really going on? Gloria came by yesterday with that musclehead boyfriend of hers. She tried to tell us how to pour the foundation, but she doesn't know concrete from cottage cheese. Just keep working, everything will be sorted out soon." Meanwhile, Gloria was struggling to manage daily operations. Our project management software required my authorization for major changes. Our equipment leases were in my name. Our key supplier relationships had been built over years of personal trust. She'd managed to fool our clients with smooth talk and stolen money, but she couldn't actually run a construction company. My phone rang around noon. It was Tom Anderson. "Michael, I hate to tell you this, but Gloria just called. She wants to renegotiate our contract terms. She's asking for 30% more money and extending the timeline by 6 weeks." I felt a cold smile cross my face. "What did you tell her?" "I told her I'd need to think about it. But honestly, if she's raising prices and extending deadlines right after taking over, it makes me wonder about the company's stability. Tom, as a friend, I'd advise waiting a few more days before making any decisions. Things are about to become much clearer." That evening, I received a text from Agent Barnes, "Search warrants approved. We'll execute Thursday morning. Have your financial records ready." Thursday was going to be interesting. But Friday, Gloria's victory party was going to be unforgettable. Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m., 3 FBI vehicles pulled into the parking lot of Grofix and Associates. I watched from across the street as Agent Barnes and her team walked through the front door with search warrants. Gloria's car wasn't there yet. She'd been arriving later each day, probably overwhelmed by trying to manage operations she didn't understand. By 8 a.m., our employees were gathered in the parking lot, confused and worried. I walked over to address them. "Listen, everyone," I said, raising my voice so the whole group could hear. "The FBI is investigating financial irregularities in our company accounts. This doesn't affect your jobs or your paychecks. Work continues as normal on all active projects." Jessica from accounting looked terrified. "Are we in trouble? I just process the numbers Gloria gives me." "No one here is in trouble except the people who stole money from this company," I said firmly. "If anyone has questions about your specific responsibilities, be honest with the investigators." Gloria's car screeched into the parking lot at 8:15. She jumped out and ran toward the building, but Agent Barnes intercepted her at the door. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could see Gloria's body language change from aggressive to defensive to panicked as Agent Barnes explained the search warrant and read her rights. Kevin arrived 20 minutes later in his red BMW. He saw the FBI vehicles and tried to drive away, but 2 agents were waiting for him. They escorted him back to the building in handcuffs. My phone buzzed with a call from Gloria. I let it go to voicemail. The message was brief: "Michael, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. Call me back immediately." I deleted the message without responding. By noon, Agent Barnes emerged from the building carrying several boxes of documents and computer equipment. She walked over to where I was standing with some of our employees. "Mr. Grofix, we'll need you to come in this afternoon to verify some of the evidence we've collected." "Of course," I said. "Is the investigation wrapping up?" "We have enough evidence to proceed with charges. Your financial records were very thorough." Gloria had been released but told not to leave town. Kevin was still in custody, apparently unable to make bail on outstanding warrants from another state. That afternoon at the FBI office, Agent Barnes showed me what they'd found during the search. "Your wife and Mr. Martinez were planning to liquidate Grofix and Associates entirely," she explained. "We found emails discussing the sale of your equipment, termination of your employee contracts, and transfer of client relationships to other companies." She handed me a printed email chain. "They weren't planning to run your business, Michael. They were planning to destroy it and pocket the proceeds." The emails were devastating. Gloria and Kevin had been in contact with our competitors, negotiating deals to sell our active contracts. They'd identified which employees to fire immediately and which equipment to sell first. "There's more," Agent Barnes continued. "The Fitness Solutions account was just the beginning. We found evidence of at least $300,000 in stolen funds, not the $180,000 you originally discovered." My stomach dropped. Where did the rest come from? Inflated invoices to clients, kickbacks from suppliers, and skimmed payments from completed projects. This operation was much larger than we initially thought. That evening, I called Tom Anderson to update him on the situation. "Jesus, Michael. I had no idea." Gloria seemed so professional when she called about the contract changes. "That's because she's been stealing money and planning this for years, Tom. She's a very good actress." "What happens now?" "Federal charges will be filed tomorrow. The company will be returned to normal operations. And Gloria's victory party tomorrow night is going to be very different than she planned." Friday morning brought news that Kevin had been charged with multiple federal crimes: wire fraud, money laundering. I spent the morning meeting with our employees, explaining the situation and assuring them that we would continue operating normally. "What about Mrs. Grofix?" asked Milton, my foreman. "Is she coming back?" "No," I said simply. "Gloria is no longer associated with Grofix and Associates in any capacity." Around noon, I received a call from Gloria's lawyer. "Mr. Grofix, my client would like to discuss a settlement that avoids further legal complications." "I'm listening," I said. "Mrs. Grofix is prepared to return all stolen funds and relinquish any claim to the business in exchange for reduced charges." "That's between her and the FBI," I replied. "I'm not the one pressing criminal charges anymore. The federal government is." She's also prepared to cancel tonight's celebration and publicly apologize for any misunderstandings. I almost laughed out loud. Too late for that. The party's already planned, and I wouldn't want her to disappoint her guests. That afternoon, I made some calls of my own. To our clients, our suppliers, and several people in our industry network. I wanted to make sure everyone understood exactly what had happened at Grofix and Associates. By 5 p.m., word had spread throughout the local business community. Gloria's victory party was going to be attended by people who now knew she was a federal criminal. I got dressed in my best suit and drove to the country club where Gloria had rented a private room for her celebration. It was time to see how her moment of triumph was going to play out. The country club parking lot was half empty when I arrived at 7 p.m. Gloria had invited about 50 people to celebrate her successful takeover of Grofix and Associates, but word of the FBI investigation had clearly reached most of them. I walked into the private dining room to find Gloria standing near the bar with about 15 guests, looking increasingly desperate as she tried to explain why federal agents had raided her business that morning. "It's all a misunderstanding," she was saying to Tom Anderson and his wife. "Michael has been having mental health issues. He made false accusations to get revenge for the divorce." Tom spotted me across the room and excused himself from the conversation. He walked over with a concerned expression. "Michael, I didn't expect to see you here." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. "How's Gloria's explanation going over?" Tom shook his head. "She's claiming you planted evidence and falsified records. Says the FBI investigation is based on lies you told them." I nodded toward Gloria, who was now talking to 3 local business owners. "What do you think of her story?" "I think she's in serious trouble, and she's trying to drag you down with her." Gloria noticed me across the room. Her face went pale, then flushed with anger. She whispered something to Kevin's replacement. Apparently she'd found another muscle-bound boyfriend to bring as her date. The new guy walked over to me. "You need to leave. This is a private party." "Actually," I said calmly, "I think everyone here deserves to know the truth about what Gloria has been doing with Grofix and Associates." Several conversations stopped as people turned to listen. "Gloria has been stealing money from our company for over 2 years, I announced to the room. The FBI investigation found evidence of at least $300,000 in embezzled funds." Gloria stepped forward. "That's a lie. Michael is having a breakdown. He can't accept that I'm taking over the business." I pulled out my phone and opened the email app. "Would you like me to read some of the emails the FBI found? The ones where you and Kevin planned to sell our equipment and fire our employees?" The room fell completely silent. Gloria's face turned red as she realized I had access to evidence she thought was safely hidden. "You're not supposed to have those," she said, her voice shaking. "The FBI provided copies as part of their investigation," I replied. "Public record now." I began reading from my phone. Email from Gloria Grofix to Kevin Martinez, dated March 15. "Once we get control of the company, we should liquidate everything within 60 days. The equipment alone is worth $400,000, and we can sell the client contracts to Morrison Construction for at least $200,000. Gasps rippled through the small crowd. These were local business people who knew our reputation and our value in the community. I continued, March 22 email, "Michael is so clueless about the financial side. He has no idea we've been skimming money for almost 2 years. By the time he figures it out, we'll own everything and he'll be left with nothing." Gloria lunged toward me, trying to grab my phone. "Stop it. You're twisting everything." Tom Anderson stepped between us. "Gloria, is this true? Have you been stealing from your own company?" "It's not stealing," she screamed. "I do all the real work. I deserve to be compensated fairly." "By embezzling $300,000, asked Mrs. Patterson, wife of one of our suppliers. "By planning to destroy a company that employs 43 people? The remaining guests began murmuring among themselves. Several started gathering their coats and purses. Gloria looked around the room desperately. "You don't understand. Michael was going to leave me with nothing after 15 years of marriage. I had to protect myself." "By committing federal crimes?" I asked quietly. She whirled around to face me. "This isn't over, Michael. I'll fight these charges. I'll prove you manipulated the evidence." I smiled sadly. "Gloria, the FBI has your computer, your phone records, your bank statements, and recorded conversations with Kevin. They have everything." One by one, the guests left the dining room. Within 10 minutes, only Gloria, her new boyfriend, Tom Anderson, and I remained. Tom looked uncomfortable as he prepared to leave. "Gloria, I'm sorry, but under the circumstances, I'll need to put our contract on hold until this gets resolved." Tom, please, Gloria begged. Don't let Michael's lies destroy everything we've built together. It's not Michael's lies I'm worried about, Tom replied gently. It's the FBI evidence. After Tom left, Gloria collapsed into a chair and started crying. Her tough, calculating facade finally cracked under the weight of her situation. Why couldn't you just let me have this, she sobbed. Why did you have to ruin everything? I sat down across from her. Gloria, you ruined everything the moment you decided to steal from our company and our employees. I built this business too. I worked just as hard as you did. You did work hard, I agreed. But you also embezzled $300,000, planned to destroy the company, and tried to frame me as mentally unstable. That wasn't building anything, Gloria. That was tearing it all down. Her new boyfriend shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should go, babe. Gloria wiped her eyes and looked at me with a mixture of hatred and desperation. What do you want, Michael? You've already destroyed my life. What more do you need? I want our employees to keep their jobs. I want our clients to trust Grofix and Associates again. I want the company we built to survive. And what about me? I stood up and straightened my jacket. That's between you and the federal justice system now. As I walked toward the door, Gloria called out one last time, Michael, wait. We can still work this out. We can still be partners. I paused without turning around. Gloria, we stopped being partners the day you decided I was worth more to you destroyed than successful. I left her sitting alone in the empty dining room of her failed victory party. The next morning, local news stations reported on Gloria's arrest and the FBI investigation into Grofix and Associates. The story painted her as a calculating fraudster who had attempted to steal an entire company from her husband. My phone rang constantly with calls from clients, suppliers, and competitors. Word had spread quickly through our industry network. Michael, it's Bill Lemon from Lemon Materials, said one caller. I just wanted you to know that we're behind you 100%. Gloria tried to renegotiate our supplier agreement last week, asking for kickbacks. Now we know why. Similar calls came throughout the day. Agent Barnes called around noon with an update. We've uncovered additional evidence of fraud, she said. Gloria had been in contact with 3 different competitors, negotiating the sale of your client base. She was also working with a bankruptcy lawyer to dissolve Grofix and Associates while keeping the valuable assets. How much more money are we talking about? Potentially the entire $8.2 million value of your company. This wasn't just embezzlement, Michael. This was a planned corporate theft. That afternoon, I met with our employees to explain the situation and outline our path forward. Grofix and Associates will continue operating normally, I announced. All paychecks will be issued on schedule. All projects will be completed as contracted. The only change is that Gloria Grofix is no longer associated with our company in any capacity. Justin raised his hand. Boss, what about the money she stole? Does that affect our bonuses or benefits? The FBI is working to recover all stolen funds, I replied. Our company finances are actually stronger than they appeared because Gloria was hiding money in secret accounts. Once everything is recovered, we'll be in better shape than before. Jessica from accounting looked relieved. So our jobs are safe? Your jobs were never at risk, I said. Gloria's plan was to sell the company and fire most of you. That's not happening. After the meeting, I returned to my office for the first time in a week. Everything looked exactly the same, but it felt completely different. This was my company again. Monday morning brought a call from Gloria's lawyer requesting a meeting. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet at his office that afternoon. Gloria sat across from me looking exhausted and defeated. Her expensive business suit had been replaced with jeans and a wrinkled sweater. The confident woman who had thrown me out of our house was gone. "Michael," she said quietly, "I need your help." Her lawyer, a thin man named Phillips, spread some documents across the table. "My client is prepared to make full restitution and cooperate completely with the federal investigation." "In exchange for what?" I asked. "Reduced charges," Phillips replied. Instead of multiple felony counts, she'd plead guilty to a single count of embezzlement and face probation instead of prison time. I looked at Gloria. "What do you want from me?" "I need you to tell the prosecutors that I was under emotional stress. That the affair with Kevin clouded my judgment. That I'm not a career criminal, just someone who made terrible mistakes." I leaned back in my chair. "Gloria, you stole $300,000 over 2 years. You planned to destroy our company and fire 43 people. You tried to frame me as mentally unstable. These weren't mistakes made under emotional stress. This was a criminal conspiracy. Please," she begged. "I'll lose everything. I'll go to prison. My life will be ruined." "Your life is already ruined," I said gently. "You ruined it yourself when you decided to betray everything we built together." Phillips intervened. "Mr. Grofix, showing mercy now could help with the civil aspects of your divorce proceedings." I stood up. "There won't be any civil aspects. Gloria will get nothing from me, nothing from our company, and nothing from our marriage except what a federal judge decides she deserves." As I reached the door, Gloria called out desperately, "Michael, I still love you. We can rebuild this. We can start over." I turned back to look at her one final time. "Gloria, you can't rebuild something with someone who spent 2 years planning to destroy it." The federal trial began 6 weeks later. Gloria had ultimately rejected the plea deal, convinced she could persuade a jury that she was the victim of an abusive marriage and manipulative boyfriend. Kevin had already pleaded guilty and received a 5-year sentence. His testimony was devastating to Gloria's defense. She was the brains of the operation, he told the court. Gloria planned everything. She knew exactly how much money to steal and when to steal it. She told me Grofix was a deadbeat husband who deserved to lose his business. Agent Barnes testified about the scope of the fraud and the sophisticated methods Gloria had used to hide her crimes. This wasn't impulsive behavior, she explained to the jury. Mrs. Grofix created false invoices, manipulated accounting records, and established shell companies to launder stolen funds. The level of planning and deception indicates a criminal mind, not an emotional breakdown. Our company's forensic accountant testified that Gloria had stolen exactly $347,000 over 26 months, with theft amounts increasing each month as she became more confident in her methods. Tom Anderson testified about Gloria's attempts to renegotiate client contracts at inflated prices, describing her behavior as calculated and predatory rather than desperate. When Gloria took the stand in her own defense, she painted herself as a neglected wife who had been forced to take control of a failing business. Michael was never home, she testified tearfully. He cared more about his construction projects than our marriage. I was running the business single-handedly while he played with his equipment. The prosecutor's cross-examination was brutal. Mrs. Grofix, if you were running the business single-handedly, why did operations collapse immediately after Mr. Grofix was removed? There was a learning curve. A learning curve that resulted in missed deadlines, confused employees, and client complaints within 48 hours? Gloria couldn't answer. And if your husband was such a poor businessman, why was Grofix and Associates valued at $8.2 million when you decided to steal it? Again, no answer. The jury deliberated and found Gloria guilty on all counts: wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and embezzlement. The judge sentenced her to Jacob years in federal prison and ordered full restitution of $347,000 plus penalties and interest. Mrs. Grofix, the judge said during sentencing, you betrayed not only your husband but 43 employees who depended on your company for their livelihoods. Your actions showed a callous disregard for everyone except yourself. Gloria broke down crying as the bailiff led her away in handcuffs. She turned back once to look at me, but I felt nothing except relief that it was finally over. Outside the courthouse, Agent Barnes shook my hand. "Justice was served today," she said. That evening, I drove to Grofix and Associates and walked through the building. Our employees had hung a banner reading, "Welcome back, boss," in the main office. Justin approached me with a grin. "So, are we done with all the drama now?" "We're done," I said. "Tomorrow we get back to building things instead of tearing them down." For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe normally.